The Kentucky Derby Bomb edition of the Bottom Line Bombs on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by NYRA Bets. Bet the Kentucky Derby by using code SGPN 25 for $25 free bet plus a $200 deposit match bonus at nyrabets.com/SGPN and start winning today.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby.
Welcome to the Bottom Line Bombs. On Wednesday, April 30th, it's Kentucky Derby week. I'll do it again.
Kentucky Derby.
I am your host, the Beck Detective. The Laddie Daddy, the Scumbagger Vance, and the Man in the Box. CJ Sullivan, and I am here live on. I gotta mute my thing. I think that's what I have to do. Yeah, it is Kentucky Derby. I'm actually gonna have a guest in today. It's exciting. I used to back in the day. Kentucky Derby, I would bring in the Connecticut Crunch himself, Charlie Sullivan. He would break down the entire Derby field, entire Derby race, and he'd give out his picks. And then he'd call me after the show, and he'd say, "This is who we're really going to take. Not going to waste it on those idiots, your listeners." He's long gone, but we're going to bring in the Wolf of Oaklawn, Chase himself from the notorious OTB. He'll be coming on in a little bit, a little later on as we talk Kentucky Derby. But we also have some NBA bombs and NHL bombs. We did okay. We went 2-2. We lost Miami. That was a misread on that one. I thought what Miami Heat would have character, soul, or anything at all. They did not. They quit and lost by 58 points or 59, whatever it was. That was hilarious. What else did we lose? We lost the Pacers, but we didn't get they won in an incredible game last night. Incredible meltdown by Milwaukee. We won Houston plus the points. They did not win, and we also got the Pistons. So we went 2-2. But today's going to be a great show. I knew it was going to be a good day today. Great. Here's a nice metaphor for living in LA. It's not a metaphor. It was a great example of living in Los Angeles. I get in the car. We're gonna load up the Trapper Keeper. Get everything brewing. Get in the car. Got the drink going. Turn it on, and before I even leave the garage, I just hear people screaming at each other, and then just constant horn. Like fucking laying on the horn, and I haven't left. I'm in the garage. I'm like, do I really want to leave here? Do I really want to go enter this world? You have to, though. That's what we got to do. If you're in the chat, if you're listening on X, congratulations. But come on over to YouTube so you can join the chat. We got John McKelvey here. Says LFG. Feach Lamagna is here. He says Secretariat is the greatest athlete of all time. Who am I to tell you no? They do like debating if horses know they're in the race. They know. Of course they know. Every animal knows. They know we're idiots. They know how much money we have. I don't know, but they know. They know when there's flowers and cameras. They prance around, especially thoroughbreds. Show horse. The race horses. They're the jerks of the horse. They're the prima donnas. They know damn well. Now, do they know they're going to the glue factory? No, it's not a glue factory anymore, but, that's a nice lesson we teach them. Horse racing is great. And Kentucky Derby every year comes around. You got to love the Kentucky Derby. At least I do. But that's when everyone starts watching horse racing, and which is fine. But then you get the people like, the animal cruelty. They don't, the PETAs, they don't like horse racing at all because, sometimes they have to go down 20 or 30 times a season at Santa Anita. If they break a leg, sorry, we got to shoot it. It's a humane thing to do. They die all the time. But point is, I don't want to hear you complaining about the cruelty to animals unless you know what a try box is. Unless you can wheel me and key me the favorite over Quinella bet, I don't want to hear about your takes on animal cruelty. Just drink your mint julep, wear your damn hat. As Old Fashioned Football said, my derby hat's on. It's on Spuds right there. Old Fashioned J Mark from Old Fashioned Football and UFL, and of course the UFL Football Gambling Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to that.
Oh, is there anything better than the UFL? Oh, that was so good.
But we're not talking UFL. We're talking Derby and some NBA and NHL. This first weekend of May is always great. You got the playoffs going on. Then you have the Derby, the fastest 2 minutes. I remember the fastest 2 minutes became the longest 2 minutes when we bet on Barbaro. Me and my buddy Pat Bryce, the late great Pat Bryce. And we had a lot of money on Barbaro, and that's when Barbaro broke his leg early on. And we're like, oh, no, Barbaro. To the Rainbow Bridge it went. But those when those crazy rich owners wouldn't let go. Just kill it. That Barbaro was one of those things where you're like, listen, just let it go. Remember they made that pool for it. They lowered it down in this whole device. Boy. Anyway, support SGPN's free content by taking a second to give us 5 stars and subscribe. All right. Like I said, let me break down a few of the games that have happened before we get into before I bring in the Wolf of Oaklawn in there. I mentioned the Milwaukee Bucks choking last night versus the Pacers. That was amazing. They were up 7 and on the free throw line with 40 seconds to go in overtime. Not even mention they're up 40 with less than a minute to go. Not 40, up 4, less than a minute to go with the ball in regulation. Somehow that got to overtime. That shouldn't have even got to overtime. But once it got there, Gary Trent Jr. went off, and they're up by 7 on the line. 40 seconds to go, and they lose in regulation. They didn't even go to double OT. They missed the free throws. Indiana to 3. They turn it over and 1, an insane and 1. And they turn it over. I do feel bad for Trent. It went right through his hands, Billy Buckner style. And then Halliburton makes a shot. It's amazing when they show Doc Rivers' stats when it comes to choking. Like teams that have been up 3-1 that have collapsed. This time he pulled a different kind of a choke. And then they show teams with those 98% chances to win. They're like 105 and 12. 11 of those are Doc Rivers. Is like, what? How is this possible? He hasn't, I don't even believe some of his stats. They're impressive. He is GOAT material when it comes to collapsing and choking. I don't know what happened, Giannis. He was out there. That Halliburton's dad got in his face. And what can we do? My Sean McVay and my Doc Rivers are very similar. Giannis and Halliburton's dad, that was something, huh? So after the game, as soon as it happened, right at the buzzer there, Pacers fans go nuts, obviously, if they're celebrating on the court. And then you got Tyrese Halliburton's dad, who's a clown. He wears his he comes. He's a clown. He's a proud father. He's very theatrical. He gets into the shit talking. He goes right in Giannis's face and starts shit talking him. There's what fucking cursing him out. And Giannis is looking at him like, what is this obnoxious American? What is this? Is this your father? Can I murder him? Is this custom in America? To tell someone, I know it's customs for you to be obnoxious and tell me to fuck off after my season just ended in the worst way possible. I know you guys are all about humiliation. So that's the thing too. And then Giannis afterwards, his press conference, very dignified. He did this a couple years ago too. The Greek freak is obviously not from America. Because every time he says something about these incidents after the season ends, it's very thoughtful and logical and reasonable and well thought out. And that's not what we do here in America. So it's always odd. Remember a couple of years ago, they asked him, "Hey, is this a failure?" He's like, "What is failure? This is steps to success. Why would you ask me this?" We're like, "Yeah, what? That's great, Giannis. But what's something we tell kids, but it's not something we believe in. We believe you win or you lose, and my bookie doesn't believe in steps to success. He believes you failed. So, but." Then last night he's like, in my, I don't understand. I don't believe after you should beat them, you should humiliate them and, attack them and just get right in their face and get aggressive like that. I don't believe in that. My parents worked hard. They would be very humbled. And that's a beautiful sentiment, Giannis. You're right. It should not give you the green light to talk shit after win, but that's kind of what we do here. So, I mean, you're right. Giannis, you're right. We should not be doing it, but what's what we do here in America? We humiliate the other person. That's what sports is all about, especially basketball. If you watch basketball, dunk highlights down 20, it doesn't matter. You could have won last night, Bucks. It doesn't matter. But if Halliburton dunked in your face, his dad's going to call you a bitch. And that's what we do here. So get on board, Giannis. Now I love all the media. It's like, all right, just get him out of there. Damian Lillard's hurt. Get him out of there. That's the NBA for you. You've done enough. You've won a championship. Let's get him to the Lakers already. Laker fans are already quitting on this season. Let's get Luka, LeBron, and Giannis together. Let's do it. I mean, what are we waiting for? Writers, can we write that script up, please? He is an old soul, Giannis. John Golovkin says. He's absolutely horrendous. I mean, he's great. Everything he says is right. It's just not what we do here. And as far as Halliburton's dad and Halliburton, people are going hard on him as well as they should, except for Shaq. Shaq has the worst takes ever. So it's so kind of funny, but Halliburton's in a bad spot too. Tyrese Halliburton. It's his dad. What'd you say about your dad? I don't know. I'm embarrassed. Didn't your dad ever embarrass you picking you up from school, and he wearing Bermuda shorts? Playing 70s music and singing, I mean, what? Yeah, he's embarrassing. What can I say? I can say, hey, Dad. I'll have a talk to my dad, but what am I going to do? He's my, idiot dad. So I kind of feel bad for Tyrese Halliburton. But people don't like him anyway. Like, I already called him the most overrated player. He does a lot of dancing out there. So it couldn't have happened to a better duo. As far as Giannis, yeah, I guess we'll see you later. You guys should go to LA. That's just the way it works. We give you a little. That's what the NBA does. We'll give you a few years to get your hometown excited. Maybe if you win them a championship, maybe you don't. But either way, there's a time limit, and then we're gonna bring you to a real city, okay? Because we're doing a show here. We're doing a TV show called the NBA, and it doesn't work in these small markets. It doesn't work for us. Your fans might love it, sure, but we're gonna rip you from your city. Like Luka Doncic, LeBron, and now Giannis. So the Pacers will now play the Cavs. Cavs are already -$5. That's a huge price. I'll look into that later. Now, we're not getting into that right now. What was the other game? Oh, Houston. My goodness graciousness. Houston they play tonight. Golden State, game 5. Houston's -4. We had them +4 in Golden State. We got the cover, but not the win. That was a game that I think they should have won, but they did not. I mean, you want to talk about experience, or you can talk about calls. That foul on Dylan Brooks against Jimmy Butler was a joke. He put his hand like barely on his hip. Like, come on, with less than a minute to go. I like to see how that's just acceptable. Yeah, terrible call. What can you do? Game's over. That's the NBA. You should have fought through it. They controlled the entire game, the refs. Draymond Green. I mean, it was fun. It was a fun physical series if you like that. Draymond Green is just beating a living bejeebus out of people. Draymond Green's hilarious because he kicks people on the ground, just what shoves, yells, does it most obnoxious. He's running crazy out there because he's from a different era. He's from the era, the 90s and 80s where you can just whack people and knock them down, and the other guy would come back and fight you back. Lambeer and Mahorn and those guys, Rambis and everyone, they'd punch McHale, but they'd punch you back, you'd fight, and the refs would say, well, all right, back to your corners. But people don't do that in today's NBA. They don't fight back at all. And Draymond Green's the only one still doing it. He's like Wesley Snipes in Demolition Man. He can't believe that no one fights back. He's like, what is this? I have guns and no one else does? I can just shoot up everything? This world's great. Thanks for waking me up out of this and defrosting me. Except Steven Adams. Steven Adams, was he New Zealander or whatever he is? Or he's great. He's another one who's not American. Because I tried to ask him, hey, do you think Draymond goes too far? He's like, nah, mate. It's competition. Whatever. Stop being a pussy. Oh, all right. Well, that's kind of how we are in America. We cry about things being going too far. We want technicals. We want them reviewed. Steven Adams, who's amazing. He looks like Aquaman. Like, nah, man, you take an elbow to the head. What do? You drink up. He's fine. He doesn't mean anything. The refs sorted out. They sorted out. Anyway, we will be taking the Rockets tonight, -4. Let's bomb it. I want that series to go. I believe that. I mean, they played pretty well in all the games except for early on in game 1, even though they made a little comeback on that one. I think it goes back to Golden State, game 6. All right, let me tell you about, speaking of NYR.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
I was going to say that's my Draymond Green. I was going to say that was an accident, but it really wasn't. All right, hold on. Let me see design. Let me talk about, like I said, it is Kentucky Derby time.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby.
And it's Derby week at SGPN, so make sure to check out our horse racing podcast, Notorious OTB, with the Wolf of Oaklawn, who will be on the show in a little bit, for all of your picks. Plus, get in all the action, most exciting 2 minutes in sports with NYIRA bets. Sign up today, boost your Derby bankroll with a $25 free bet and $200 deposit bonus, promo code SGPN25. Join now, claim your $25 free bet and $200 deposit match bonus at nyrabets.com/SGPN. We're also brought to you by, oh man, I keep clicking the wrong thing here. We're also brought to you by MyBookie. MyBookie, wherever I bet, he bets. MyBookie AG. It's your place to bet on every sport, including the NBA playoffs, props for every game. True degens like the MyBookie money bag. I did that. I got Tappan Street and he got fucking scratched from the Derby. But it was a good ride while it lasted. I got good odds. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations, easy deposit, lightning fast payouts using crypto. A bet I like on MyBookie? Well, I just told you. Houston -4, the Rockets tonight. Let's go. Head to mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. And we are back, I believe. Yes, we are back here on the Bottom Line Bobs. I am their host, the Laddie Dad. What else are we talking about? Well, there's a couple other games I guess we can get into. You have the Lakers tonight. They're -7. Speaking of that horribleness. They're allowing 7 to the Timberwolves, which seems like a lot. But when the writers come out and they make the shows, I can see the Lakers running. I can see the Lakers running it, especially like they should have won that last game. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not a Laker fan. I want the Timberwolves to finish it off. I think I know even with the Laker arrogance, I think they do win tonight. I do think it's convincing. I think if Lakers first half is a nice play as well. But the challenge, I'll never understand the NBA challenge system. It's so funny. Luka Doncic got tripped. And they're like, well, fell on his feet. No, he didn't actually. Yeah, you're right. Nothing we can do. You already use your challenge. You use your challenge, and even if you're successful, you still lose a timeout. So there's like, all right, we got to do something with the NFL style. I don't know. So we threw that out there. So we'll bomb the Lakers -7. Hit that. And then when Anthony Edwards draw line, it went out of bounds, and they called a Lakers called a timeout. Then Pistons like, can we challenge that if that's a penalty? Refs like, I don't know. I didn't think he could, but all right, why not? No, you're right. It's a foul. Wrist is part of the hand. What? Lakers like, what? How did that happen? I thought you weren't allowed to do that. Yeah, so did I, but we decided why not. We're the NBA. We make it up as we go. And then you got the Pistons-Knicks series. That was wonderful to watch last night. The Pistons won at the Garden. Game 5. We hit our over 5.5 in that series. And more importantly, we got to watch Knicks fans lose at the Garden. There's nothing better than that. All of it. Ben Stillers and John McEnroe. Oh, is there anything more in New York than McEnroe? Now we get, I know, rich, obnoxious, loud people. We understand. Who are delusional. You're the 3 seed. You should be taking care of the Pistons who won 18 games last year. They got watch parties and, outside. Which is embarrassing, like I said last time. You're New York City. You shouldn't have watch parties for the first round of an NBA playoff season. You're not Edmonton, for God's sakes. You have other things going on. But anyway, the Pistons won in the Garden. The Jalen Brunson got hurt because the floor went out. Which, like I said before, these Knicks players I like, even though I hate watching Brunson and them flop around. I still like them. They play hard. They play defense. They're enjoyable. You can easily root behind them. Even Tibbs. Tibbs runs his players into the ground. But James Dolan, the owner, of course his floor goes out because he's the worst human being in the world. Along with everyone else inside that Garden, the fans. So I wish the Pistons could play Game 6 in the Garden. I wish all the losses could happen in the Garden, but it can't. It's in Detroit. Detroit will be lit. They can't lose all their home games. It'll be Detroit -2. We'll bomb that to get Game 7 because what will be more dramatic than Game 7 at the Garden? Is there anything more electric? Than the Garden, the atmosphere of a Larry Johnson, and all their, that's what I mean. All their history moments are all so irrelevant. Remember when Trae Young took center stage and Trae Young, that's who your nemesis is? What round was that? Was that a play-in game? Anyway, I don't know. I'm looking around for different soundboard stuff, and this is a good one. I don't know when to do it. I don't know when to use it, but I'm definitely going to use it. Hell, I'll sample you right now. This came from Colin Coward and Shador, which I love. So, will the Knicks? The Knicks will win Game 6 because they have more guile.
That's not the answer.
Speaking of worst human beings, I don't want to do that. I don't want to make my show about what other people are bad about anyway, especially when it's Kentucky Derby week and we have great Kentucky Derby guests coming on here. I see him popping up in the waiting room, the Wolf of Oaklawn from the notorious OTB. I'll get to him in a second. I have to get out my Derby pre-sheets. I make my made my notes, if you will.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby.
Maybe I'll do the ad read real quick. That way we can really lean into the Wolf of Oaklawn, Chase, my man Chase, to break down everything that'll come into the 151st. I don't know what rendition it is, but a lot of danger at this Kentucky Derby. I wonder if he's ever been. Because there are the haves and the have-nots at the Kentucky Derby. There's the Kentucky Derby, the Churchill Downs, very nice and uppity class. And then there's everything around it, which is not. You do not want to be walking from the track to downtown Louisville with $12,000 in your pocket. I'll tell you that much. All right, let me tell you about Underdog. I'm going to bring you about Underdog. I think I will tell you about Underdog if I have an Underdog selection. Do I not have an Underdog? I don't think Ron Kramer loaded it up. I have plenty of rhythms, for fuck's sakes. Anyway, I'll give you time for my bonus Underdog pick'em. That's what it is. I'll give you an Underdog play. You know what Underdog is. I don't have to pull up the graphic. It's the best way to play fantasy sports for cash. You can do any sport you want. Baseball, basketball, UFL, everything. Cross it up. You pick higher or lower. You certainly don't go over under because that's when the lawyers come in. That would be gambling. We're not gambling. We're just doing a very skilled set of what other adults are going to do with the ball in their hands. So you sign up for promo code BOMBS, claim your special pick, first time deposit up to $1,000 in bonus credits, UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code BOMBS. An underdog entry I want to use here. Speaking of this games tonight, we'll go Van Fleet, higher than 14.5 points. He's a big time gamer. They need someone to step up. He can shoot 1 for 11, or he can hit a couple threes. I think I'll go over 14.5. That's a pretty low number to get over. Rockets need scoring anywhere they can. And we'll go LeBron over his par, points, assists, rebounds, higher than 43.5. Put those two in, and that's almost 3-1. Can't beat that. Just because LeBron did nothing in the fourth quarter, and then if God forbid he takes a fourth quarter off, every show has to talk about, he's not the go. Listen, I believe Michael Jordan's better than LeBron James. But I'm not taking any I'm not taking any example he's doing now as a reason why not to. Oh, that's your GOAT? It's a 40-year-old man who's like the top 5 in the league. Jordan wasn't doing that shit at 40. But point is, I like Jordan better because one, he's more aesthetically pleasing. He looked like he was the greatest basketball player. LeBron just looked like the biggest freak you've ever seen. He's bigger and faster than everyone. It just seemed unfair. I mean, yes, he's a great savant in passing and all that, but still, that's not the point. Point is, I got to talk to you about rhythm. That's the point. Now I'll pull up rhythm. The rhythm's going to bet you. Rhythm's going to bet you. Rhythm's going to bet you with props. Rhythm is your home for AI-backed picks and props. Dominate the NBA playoffs. MLB prop market with Rhythm. Build your own model. Simple and easy. Knows you'll love it. That's why they include a 7-day free trial. Here's something that Rhythm likes. They like Jake Irving of the Nats to throw over 4.5 strikeouts tonight. I don't mind that, especially with the Phillies, the way they swing and slop. Rhythm has some amazing deals going on now. 25% off monthly subscription with promo code SGPN 25 and 50% off annual subscription with promo code SGPN 50. That's RITHMM, promo code SGPN 25 or SGPN 50. Get your 7-day free trial today. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And with that, we are back. Whew, that was some ad reads by your man in the box, the Bet Detective. What a pro I am at that. I no longer make it my own. Companies have come after me with that when I pretty much tell all my C-generers that they have gambling problems. But, you know what I mean? I stick to the script. I can still stick to the script. I'm classically trained. Back in the theater, if you will. Levels A through E at Second City. All right? I know what I'm doing up here. Up here. But I tell you who else knows what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing in here in the box. But I do know it is Kentucky Derby week. And that's why I brought on only my second ever Kentucky Derby guest, whatever you want to do, other than the Charlie Sullivan Connecticut Cruncher. RIP to him. But without further ado, welcome, Chase, the Wolf of Oaklawn from the notorious OTB. What's up, buddy? How we doing?
Man, doing pretty well. Whenever you play the bugle like sound drop, it makes me think of how at Oaklawn we have like easily like the worst bugler in the game right now. I call him Sachno because it is pretty terrible.
It's so funny. When I was living in Chicago at Arlington, they would have this blonde girl who was like a superstar, and she was better than the track. A good horn girl or horn guy is very important. I believe in that 100%.
Oh yeah.
And of course, I'm out here. I go to Santa Anita out here now, which has they have a great horn, but they are the creme de la creme. Speaking of which, first of all, thanks for joining me here. Oh, I got to switch the scroll here. There we go. So now your X is on there. Your follow the Wolf of Oaklawn. Got to promote a little bit. First of all, you do a great show. Notorious OTB, #1, amazing title for a show. That's when I first I'm like, what's going on here? That's incredible. Is that your genius to come up with that?
Yeah, it was literally the first thing that came to mind whenever Kramer was like, "Well, what are you going to call it?" And I was like, "The Notorious OTB."
Yes.
I guess. I feel like maybe like Ruth Bader Ginsburg was having a moment with her Notorious RBG, and I just kind of piled on that. But yeah, That was my name that I picked
It's
out.
perfect.
And,
you know what's a shame? There's OTBs are kind of gone by the wayside now. You know, like there's only a couple I think left in the country. It seemed like there used to be all over the place. And like I mean, like no glamour. You go in there, you bet, you get out, and there's some people named like Mudbone in there, you know, and Catfish, you know, like just like some good characters. And that's kind of gone now. And that's when you know real people, real characters at the OTBs.
Yeah, it's the classic like red plastic ashtrays and orange plastic chairs, and just litter all over the place. Like you'll probably come away with a little bit of a staph infection. Yeah. The last time I went to one was in New Orleans, and it was exactly as advertised.
That's incredible. Then like hipsters pay $300 for clothes that these guys get for $2. So like where the real deal is, if you want to talk about the authentic life, you go down there and see how it's done. Is what I like to say. But speaking of, are you excited about this Kentucky Derby coming up? Speaking of Santa Anita, Bob Baffert's back. Every time I go to Santa Anita, I see him there mixing with the people. After he's done 3-year suspension from juicing up his horses, but he's back in action.
Yeah, it's interesting to have him back. He always seems to have one certain like run style of horse, which is a big, gigantic, fast fucking horse that runs on the front end faster than everyone else and just kind of plays come catch me. And so he's kind of back with a couple of those this year. I feel like if anyone thinks Bob Baffert's going to do anything unsavory, just remember he kind of fucked around and found out.
Yeah,
last time, and so I wouldn't be just thinking that Bob's sitting on a rocket anywhere.
It's a good point, and of course he probably thinks he was wronged by them. Of course, right? He'll never admit that he did anything wrong. That's what makes Baffert great, though. It makes all these horse racings great. I pulled out some slides. So, what's your overall view of this Kentucky Derby, pace wise, anything wise? What's your overall view before we get into it?
For one, I think that it's going to be, once again, an excellent betting race. For two, looking at the pace, me and my co-host Barry Spears, we were talking about, the Derby offline after we finished an episode, and how like in mid-February, there really wasn't any speed in this at all. And so it didn't really set up for any of these closers who keep winning. And then bam, within a stretch of like 3 weeks with all the Kentucky Derby preps, all this speed showed up, and now it looks like it's going to be just Chernobyl nuclear on the front. That's even if you don't project the Japanese entrance, also on the lead. If they go, it gets even faster.
Wow. All right, hold on 1 second. I might be having a mic problem. I know it's supposed to be a lot of early speed, they said, going on here. Let me see if I'm not. Am I muted right now, Kramer? Sorry about that. Again, I'm getting a comment that I can't hear my microphone for a second. I know you can hear me.
Oh, you're cut off on the camera. I think I can't see you.
There it is. You can see. You know what? That's why I got to do that. There we are. I got it.
There it is.
I could hear him but can't see him. That's great. Perfect.
I thought you were like Wizard of Ozing me there. I didn't know what to do.
Now speaking of my OTB clothes, that's what I'm rocking this shirt on now. All right, now it's better. All right. That's kind of what I should do. I should really do a man in the box show and just fucking underneath the desk. But yeah, there's early speed here. Let me go I got a couple slides. I'm going to put on there. Look at this, huh? I made this on Canva.
Here we go.
Not too shabby. Oh, whoop, no, didn't supposed to go this way. Hold on. There's you, and there's your AI art that you like to do. You're very masterful at the AI art. You always come up with something new for every episode. Make sure you do follow the notorious OTB of Oaklawn. And this is the only picture I did here. Crowded field. As well as Kentucky Derby is always known for a crowded field, 20 horses. That's why you can't bet the fave. I mean, you can bet the fave, but like, you know what I mean? Like you were saying, it's always a great race to bet, because when you have like 20 horses, anything really can happen, because there's a lot of navigating in the traffic. But let's yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say absolutely, and it really kind of spices up the exotic wagers, like your exactas, trifectas, superfectas, where they can pay like life-changing amounts if you hit the right combinations. Right. And there's so many different combinations of exactas and trifectas and everything.
Absolutely, I don't even get out of bed for less than a superfecta when it comes to Kentucky Derby. I'm going for 6 figures every time, and I usually get a little too aggressive with the bankroll, which can happen at your Kentucky Derby. So you said there's a lot of early speed. So what do you think about that? I was thinking, is it going to? And they all got pretty bad positions to have early speed. Like a lot of them are up on the early post there, which one, two. I feel like they're going to have to race extra Herculean, if you will, to pull it off because of the how perfectly placed all the stalkers are.
Yeah, well, there's a pack of maybe like 4 or 5 horses down onto the inside with Citizen Bull, Neo Equos, Rodriguez, American Promise, and then possibly even Meyer Daytona and Luxor Cafe. That's all the speed that's on the inside, all drawn right next to each other. So you're gonna have all these horses with the ability to look each other in the eye, that want to be on the front, all going together. And then you have more speed drawn to the outside with the 12 East Avenue, which is the Godolphin entry. And then Owen Almighty, all the way out on the outside, number 20 has one move, and that's just go. So it's going to get pretty smoking hot early. And I think all the mid pack closers, stalkers, and everything, they're going to have an easy time just kind of sitting back, watching all those horses go, moving over to the rail and sitting a good trip. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking as well. I think it's kind of turned out bad for the speed horses there. Just some of those names up front. I like the name Meyer Daytona because it's not forcing you to go, or even root for it. Just like, just acknowledge that it exists, Daytona. It's a real thing.
Have a brief reverence for Daytona, please. Just take a step back, take a deep breath.
And Luxor Cafe, what are we doing there? Is that literally a sponsorship of the Lux Cafe, which had a good dessert chef? But I mean, I don't like the sounds of that.
It's a play on American Pharaoh with the whole Egyptian theme, which it's an American Pharaoh sired horse,
and it's the official Japanese entry, right? Luxor Cafe.
And Admire Daytona. Those are the two Japanese horses who drew right next to each other.
And they've never won, although Forever Young came very close last year, obviously. But these horses aren't Forever Young, if I'm correct. So who do we like? Who how do you think? Like you said you think the stalkers will have a nice, easy time of picking them off with these outside speed. Speaking of speed, who is the fastest of those speeds? I've had my eye on East Avenue there. Do you think he has enough to continue on? He seems like the fastest of the speed horses.
I think so. I think that's the horse that's going to show the most early pace. If everyone else kind of to the inside pumps the brakes, that would be the horse that doesn't surprise me, who makes it to the front end and controls the pace. But I do think the East Avenue is probably the quickest. It's just coming from so wide. We'll see if he can make the lead.
I mean, a couple months ago, he was like the horse almost, right? Things have pretty much changed with him as far as the odds, like 20-1. I bet he'll go off like a 30-1. But before, I mean, he was one of the favorites coming in, I thought, a couple months ago, that is, which of course a lot changes.
He got picked off late in a race at Keeneland in the Bluegrass where he absolutely ran his eyeballs out. And I think it kind of reflects, it doesn't reflect how well he ran, but it kind of reflects how he finished the race with the 20-1 on the morning line.
Right. Yeah. Is that a problem that he's better at Keeneland than he is at Churchill? Or is that saying like, maybe that's comparable then he'll be fine at Churchill?
I kind of think it would be comparable because what you really see at Keeneland is you see a track that tends to be a little bit of a conveyor belt for early speed horses, which, East Avenue, of course, will be. And at Churchill Downs on Derby weekend, the track maintenance crew has this thing juiced, like built for speed, like it's scraped down and everything. So I could see it playing pretty similar. The turns are a little bit different, but altogether, like condition wise, pretty close.
Sure. All right, let's get into some of these favorites here, and how we're not going to bet them. I mean, obviously, journalism is the number one fave for good reason. He looks amazing out here in Santa Anita. He hasn't really raced against any. I know that's a knock against him. He owns 5-horse fields, but he destroys him. He just looks like it just looks so easy for him. But at 3-1, I can't possibly even think about betting that.
No, especially if you think that the winner is coming from off the pace. Like you have to consider like these horses need the pace set up. They need a clean trip without traffic or trouble. And then they need sometimes just an inspired ride by a jockey. Like this is the race to tie yourself to a rocket instead of hitting chalk.
All right. Well, then what are you thinking there then for some? I tell you what, I don't remember a field like this where there's been so many possible win candidates for me though. I mean, I can see like 8 or 9 horses that can actually legitimately win this thing.
I think there are quite a few, and there's some at some massive prices. I'm I'm honestly touting 2 horses that I'm using in the second half of like the Kentucky Oaks, Kentucky Derby
Oh,
double
give it.
that they
Give it
offer.
all.
It's the first one is going to be the number 3 Final Gambit with the Axeman and Luan Machado up at 30 to 1. This one is coming off of the synthetic surface at Turfway Park, where he won the Jeff Ruby Stakes, as I like to call it, the JRS squared. The thing about the Kentucky Derby is that it's 10 furlongs, 1.25 miles. Most of these horses are never going to try to go this distance ever again. So pedigree plays a lot into it. And if you look at the pedigree here, Final Gambit has the best pedigree to handle this, no problem. It's another horse that's going to come from off the pace. So who knows if the Axeman gets a open lane and a clean ride at 30 to 1, you might be sitting on an absolute shot. Like that's won the last 3 or 4 Kentucky
and
Derbies.
I see he had a big buyer jump from 63 to 90 in his last one. That's pretty impressive. He's only had 4 starts, but he's a deep closer. And more importantly, Wolf, I have a little star next to him in my notes. So that means I saw something last night when I was jotting through some stuff, though. So I like that. Final Gambit, you're touting him. Who else?
The other horse that I'm all over that did me a super solid in the Louisiana Derby, I'm going the number 14 Tistastic with Joel Rosario up in the irons. If you want a closer, Joel Rosario is one of the best in the game. 21 is a fantastic price for a horse that beat a good horse in instant replay in the fairgrounds in the Louisiana Derby, running exactly the exact same race that we need him to run in the Kentucky Derby. And I love it at this price. Steve Asmussen is the winningest trainer in North American history, and he's only putting distance between him and the other people because he has so many horses. He's never won a Kentucky Derby. I feel like under the radar, like it was a lot of pressure. He had the favorite with like Epicenter a couple years ago. Now kind of under the radar, a horse like this, a pace setup. I absolutely love Tistastic in this spot, and I don't think you've seen the best of Tistastic yet is the big thing. I feel like there are a lot of horses in here you've seen the best of. You haven't seen the best of what Tistastic can do.
I love it. Distance pedigree, Tap It, right? As the sire or whatever it is, I believe. And was Tap It his dad?
Tistastic. Tis the Law is the sire for Tistastic, who's by constitution. But I do believe he's either got Tap It or AP Indy. I think it's maybe Tap It on the bottom line of the pedigree.
And you're right about Rosario. He's the best at weaving in there and like stalking and like if you want a closer who can get through traffic, you definitely want Rosario. Those are 2 great horses. I have them definitely in some exotics. How deep in the exotics do you go on Derby Day? How many will be on your card?
I will play at most the trifecta. I'll try to stick with the exacta trifecta. I'm not as much like a horizontal better like your pick 5s, pick 4s. I dabble with pick 3s, do a lot of daily doubles, but with this, I'll probably try to stick to like I have such strong opinions on horses who are massive prices in the morning line that like I think it just an exacta, a strong $5 exacta could really get the job done if you put together Final Gambit and Tistastic, or Final Gambit and anybody together.
That's true. What do you think of the number 10 Grande? I've been looking at Grande for a little bit. Terrible name as well, but Todd Pletcher horse, second at the Wood. Also limited experience, but has been coming on lately, I thought a little bit.
I think that buyer speed figure that came out of the Wood Memorial, it feels a little bit heavy, a little bit exaggerated because I just don't. It was not a sharp field that Rodriguez beat along with Grande there, the Mike Rapoli horse, and I just really don't. I think it's a little bit of a fool's gold there with that figure, and I think a lot of people are going to chase that figure. And if it is true, then I think it's another horse that I feel like has already run his best race and can only take a step down.
That's all I need to hear. There's nothing better than throwing out horses in the Derby. Nothing more better than betting them, putting them in, and throwing them out, never thinking of them again, and then they wind up winning. I believe that's going to happen to me with Sandman. I'm like, I'm not even thinking about Sandman. And he's 7 to 1 because he's all over the place. He did win at Arkansas Derby, but he's like he's immature, as they say. He's like jumping all around. But that is the kind of style that wins these things sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, you also have the curse of the 17 hole, never winning a Kentucky Derby too, going against it.
What about the
So, who knows? It could be the Fairleigh Dickinson.
Talk
you
me
know?
out of Sovereignty too on the 18 hole because I was hoping to get better odds, but now it's on 5-1. I'm like, well, screw that. I mean, they got the Hall of Fame trainer, Bill Muff, and I mean, in that Go Dolphin Factory looking for that first Derby win. They're just kind of hilarious. I think they try too hard. That's why I don't want them to win.
One of my favorite things about Godolphin is, if the Sheikh's daughter is alive or missing at any given time, you're not quite sure. But I do love Godolphin. I do love, as I call him, Saucy William, Bill
Yes.
Mott. Listen, Sovereignty ran a hell of a race in the Florida Derby, finishing second by a length and a half, drawing the 10 hole, which is really difficult at Gulfstream Park, being that far out in a 2-turn race. So I think it's a strong figure, but you also look at the Fountain of Youth race, which returned to 95 buyer. It's taking a step back. So did we see the best in the Fountain of Youth? Is the horse freshened up a little bit? At that price, at 5-1 in this Derby, I want to play against this horse.
100%. That's what the prices really turns me off on that one. Is there any long shot bombs you're looking at? I know Coal Battle is a fan favorite, bought for $70,000. I think it has no chance, but it does like all conditions. I'll give it that.
Yeah, I mean the long shots I like are the two big prices I like mentioned with the Final Gambit and Tistastic. There's a lot of smoke behind Flying Mohawk.
Yes, I heard that too.
A lot of people really like, which I don't necessarily see it, but there's a lot of talk. There's also a lot of talk for Chunk of Gold, who finished second behind Tistastic in that Louisiana Derby, who's one of these like grind around, knock around horses that might not win a Derby, but it might round out a superfecta.
And he was bought for $2,500 originally, Chunk of Gold. And I have a soft spot for any name with the name Chunk in it. You know what I mean? When you're rooting for Chunk of anything, you got to pull for that. What if
as a fat kid, I completely commiserate with that shit.
And Goonies, the whole Chunk thing, which put a lot of kids like us having shirts on in the pool in the 80s, but we're making a comeback with the 19 horse. What if Baeza gets in there? Do we think he has a shot if he sneaks in there in the field? I know you got to keep your eyes out for that.
It's always the horse that you forget that draws in at the last minute that seems to do it to folks. I think Baeza could probably get a pretty good trip. Once again, you ran a 101 in the Santa Anita Derby and against a 5-horse field and finished second. I have a hard time. Santa Anita figures are notoriously like inflated in the daily racing form. And I feel like you're seeing that there. In another case of this horse, I think probably takes a step backwards.
All right. Fair enough there. So those are two great horses. You have an Oaks pick too, you said?
Yeah, I'm going away from Good Cheer, who I think is an incredible horse. Has won 6 for 6, 3 for 3 at Churchill Downs. 6-5 on the morning line in a 14-horse race. I'm going around it, and I'm using the 14 Quiet Side for Short Leaf Stables, trained by Johnny Ortiz. Going to be ridden by Jose Ortiz, no relation. And I think this horse gets a really nice wide stalking trip behind what should be a pretty fast early pace. A lot of these horses at 3 years old at this point, like they've kind of barely learned how to pass other horses. So I think everyone's going to be kind of going, and I think that horse is going to sit, off wide and take advantage of it. So I like it at 8-1. That's who I'm connecting to Tistastic and Final Gambit in my Oaks Derby double.
Love it. Love the Oaks Derby double. Final Gambit, Tistastic, the 3 and the 14, just for everyone. Now, have you ever been to the Kentucky Derby there, Chase?
I haven't. I've been to a Breeders' Cup, but I have not been to the Derby.
Hey, you're not missing anything. I used to go to Preakness when it mattered, back when people used to jump on the court and try to punch the horses. Those were the good old days. But it gets, like I said, it gets dangerous when you win money at the Kentucky Derby. Then you have to walk to like downtown Louisville, and it's a haves and have-nots out there. I'll just say that. Where are you going to watch it this weekend?
I will watch it from the safety of the home. I hate like the track and other social things on big days. Like I really want to just like be sweaty and degen and stress out over results and everything. So yeah, I'll watch it from the home.
Sounds good. Thank you. The Wolf of Oaklawn. Now, besides your show, Notorious OTB, I know you have a busy week. That's why I appreciate you coming on here. What else can I see you, hear you, or whatever you want to say?
You can always find me being abrasive on Twitter at of Oaklawn. Check out the Notorious OTB. I'm going to be on Steffi Smalls in just a little bit. I'll be on Dad's Bet with Berg. I can't remember the name of the show. Forgive me. I got the SGP tomorrow. I'm all over the place. So,
that's why I thank you for taking time to scum it up with Scumbagger Vance. Everyone's been saying we got to get together. So I'm like, what perfect time than horse racing time? Horse racing time? Yeah, whatever. See, I'm getting delirious. All right, Chase. I'll thank you out. Thanks for doing picks and good luck this weekend.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right, buddy. There it is. The Wolf of Oaklawn. I pulled that off. Look at that. I pulled off an interview in the new segment, although you couldn't see me because I did the old camera switching right there. As you see, my derby hat is on Spuds. So there it is. That was an actual breakdown. It's always weird when I have actual breakdowns of the games or the events or the sports, and then experts come on there, you know, and they're giving their analysis, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. You could do that too. You just don't have to shit on everything. You can actually give information to your listeners. And that's what that is. I love both those horses.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby.
The 3 and the 14. I wrote down the 3 to 14. The problem is with Kentucky Derby, I want to do some exactas and some trifectas. I want to toss. You called my grande fool's gold. Well, you don't have to tell me twice. I love a fixed game. I'll be an idiot. I'll be your Huckleberry. My pick for the Kentucky Derby, man. The problem with you got to have journalism in your exotics, but you can't bet. You certainly can't bet. Journalism at 3-1. Although he's probably going to win. Sovereignty too. Again, you don't want to do that easy. I'm going to go with a horse that I didn't even ask him about. How did I forget to ask him about this? Number 9. He's at 23-1. How did I forget I asked him about every single horse except for the one I wanted to win. The number 9, Burnham Square. Let's drop that bomb. Burnham Square to win the Kentucky Derby. So there it is. Burnham Square 9. I'll also have Final Gamut 3 and Tistastic number 14 in my exotics with the 8 journalism and probably Sovereignty 18. So you could do a superfecta with that. You could do a $1 try box. You don't do too crazy. You wheel a few, but also what the Wolf said there. An exacta with the prices with these horses, you got 20-1s with a 15-1. That'll pay you a lot of money. Remember, the Kentucky Derby it's a prorated horse race is a prorated system, so it's all about money in the pool. That's why everyone wants to bet it. It's not like betting this, the Rockets game tonight or the Pistons game tomorrow, where it's the same -110 price. It's all about all the money in the pool, and we're gonna get all the money in the pool, baby. I got a horse right here. His name is Paul Revere. Now let's get to the box. Thank you, everyone who joined us today on the Bottom Line Bomb Kentucky Derby Bomb Edition. I also gave out some NBA bombs, and I didn't even get to send in my hockey bombs. I even have a hockey song. That's the old Whalers song. I'm upset with hockey. The LA Kings are, I don't know what's happening to them. I had them in a series. They should have swept these Oilers. Now they're down 3-2 somehow. It's ridiculous. Anyway, let's get past that. Let's talk about stuff in the box. Oh, that's what I want to talk about in the box here. And also, if you are watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. Follow me on all the X's and the Instagrams. I'll put that up there. At CJ Sullivan _ on X. At CJ Sullivan was taken _ in between each word on Instagram. Bottom Line Bombs YouTube. I put a stand-up clip out there today. I like to mix it up. I do clips from the box. I also do some stand-up clips out there. Follow me all over the place. and hate me online like every commenter does. Here's a heads up. Don't look at the comments on your online content. They are not nice. No one goes online to make comments to say, good job. Way to go. I support you and the way you look. I like everything about your physical appearance and everything you have to say. Just wanted to come online to say that to you. All right, log it off. I'll see you tomorrow for more positivity because it's the internet. It's not exactly how that works. Tell you what's taking the internet by storm right now is this 100 gorilla thing. 100 guys versus a gorilla. 100 guys. 100 men. 100 humans. That's not what the question was proposed. If you haven't been noticing, on X, on Twitter, someone tweeted from, I would say from Black Twitter, that said, who would, he believes that 100, I'll say brothers, could beat a gorilla, kill a gorilla, if they stayed focused and got together. He used the N-word. I imagine he's African-American descent. But it's funny because then it's a fun argument to have, whatever, those hypotheticals. That one calls. And now talk about Pat Booning it, white culture appropriating it. Now every talk show and content wants to steal it for content. And whatever, I guess it's a fun question. But like the question is online, 100 humans, 100 men. Now, that's not what he said. He didn't say 100 humans. Don't change it. Say what it said. If you want to steal it word for word. Don't you Pat Boone this Little Richard song. So that upsets me. Then two, it's just what the internet is, which makes me sick. Is how just the blatant just ripping it off. And I know I'm using it for content right now, and I understand the irony. Shut up.
It ain't gonna work, buddy.
But I do say this when it comes to the 100 men versus a gorilla. You don't even need 100. I mean, because it's the first 5. You need those maniacs that are going to jump on it first. I remember when Mike Tyson, there's a story about Mike Tyson brought a date to the zoo. He rented out the entire zoo because he's a romantic. And then he tried to convince the zookeeper to let him into tiger cage because he wanted to box a tiger. He wanted to fight a tiger. And they're like, no, you can't do that. Come on, I'm trying to show off to my date. Let me fight this tiger. And if there's a couple tigers, my theory was I think eventually the tigers would have joined Tyson's side. Like, whoa, let's get a winner here, And I feel like that's going to be with the gorillas. Guys will start fighting the gorilla, and then once the gorilla starts ripping limbs off people, some of the people are going to join the gorilla side. Say, hey, buddy, I'm on your side. Don't you? Here's a banana. Let's get this shit together. You can't fight him with pure strength. You have to be wily. You have to be part of the, part of the people, part of the earth. So anyway, I just like the not only everyone's stealing the idea, stealing it and using it for content, and everyone just has to have their take on it, but they're Pat Booning it with the cultural appropriation. Anyway, also and then it becomes their jokes, and then that's just what I'm just saying. I remember if you stole a joke on Twitter, it happens, of course, all the time, and you would get called out for it though, and it was a shameful thing. Now it's the entire business model. It's just how we are. One person has a video, a meme, and that's it. And then it's just joke karaoke. Everyone just takes that and does their own version of it. And I get it. It's easier than thinking creatively, and why waste creative process for, Twitter shit where you get nothing out of it. So yeah, rip it off. Rip someone else's work off. Why not? Get your engagement up. That's all that matters. Get engagement. Didn't Jake Paul teach you anything? Attention is the currency. Being extremely hateable is what we like. And I hate everyone on the internet stealing jokes. I do. How about 100 gorillas versus one guy? I bet 100 gorillas wouldn't fight one guy because they'd be like, of course we could rip him apart. Why are we asking this question? But only 100 men would be like, oh, let's see if we can kill this gorilla. With what? Why? Why are we doing this? Just to see if, it's kind of a Twitter thing. Gorilla. Are you on Twitter, Gorilla? Are you on X? They call it X now. I'll never call it X. I like those people. I'll never call it X. It'll always be Twitter to me. Okay, great. Call it Twitter. That's the hill you want to die on? That you're never going to call it X? All right. What do you think Twitter was? You think Twitter was a great thing? It was horrible too. X is terrible. Yes. So is Twitter. Anyway, you can follow me on Twitter or on X at CJ_Sullivan_. That's going to do it for today's show. Let me get out of the box. Yes, thank you. Like I said, everyone who was in the chat, JW told me to get the right camera on. John Kelly, J Mark, Feach Labadia, everyone that was on the show. Good luck this weekend at the Kentucky Derby.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby.
My thanks to the Wolf of Oaklawn, Chase. Make sure you follow his show, The Notorious OTB. Very nice of him to come by on a busy week. Everyone wants him to be a guest this week, and he came through and he stopped by. I love it. Unbelievable. All right. What do? I think I said it all. I think you guys are all set for the weekend.
And I'll leave it at that.
And so will I.
Goodbye.